back to school. As much as there is still beautiful days like this that are going to exist in summer, as soon as August hits, there is this back in the mind stress that starts to build. You know that school is around the corner. And this isn't true for everyone, right? Some people welcome that return to the routine and they're excited for school to start. But if you're the parent of a kid with ADHD, sensory challenges, anxiety, or other school struggles, you are not looking forward to this. You're already feeling anxious and stressed about what's going on. So if that's you, if you're worried about sleep changes and getting them to bed earlier, trouble with the transitions, the school interactions, and the homework, emotional regulation, everything that entails, this video is for you. We want to go through 5 strategies to set your kid up for success in school this year. We'll talk through some home stuff, some movement, exercise, sleep, the nervous system. I want to make sure that you can do everything you can for your kid to set them up for a successful school year. These issues have really built a lot recently, right? There's more kids struggling with this sort of stuff. And I think about that from 2 different lenses. One is there's more kids just struggling in general, right? We've got unprecedented levels of ADHD, autism, anxiety, sensory processing, and it's happening earlier. We've got more kids struggling earlier on in life. But at the same time, this kind of catch-22 or double-edged sword is, in my opinion, school isn't really set up for success for a lot of kids. As that has gotten worse, we've had less movement, less PE classes, less gym classes, taken away recesses, taken away art as an outlet. There's been a shift and this is talking in general, right? There's exceptions to this. There's awesome schools and environments. But in general, I think we do less to support kids who need that extra support and who are struggling with some things than we have previously. So it's really coming at this from both ways. More kids are struggling and we are putting them in a harder environment to succeed. We're probably putting them in a place where our expectations shouldn't be that they sit for 8 hours a day and just focus. It's not really what should be happening with kids at that age. So let's talk through what are these 5 tips that you can use to get your kids relief without having to rely on medications. So let's start with sleep, because that is number 1. That is a huge thing that is going to make a difference for your kid. We all know this. We live this ourselves as adults. If you don't sleep enough, you are going to have a bad time. You're going to have a harder time regulating emotionally. Work is going to be a struggle. Your patience is going to be low. That is even more true for your kid because they have more changing. Sleep is more important for them because their body and their nervous system is developing so intensely. So prioritize sleep. If you're like every other family, summer means that looks different, right? There's later nights, there's more activities, the sun stays out all day, so it's hard to convince your kid to go down for bed. You need to make it a priority though. So shift it little by little. Don't try to go from the 9 o'clock summer bedtime to 7:30 in one night. Move it up 15 minutes at a time, week by week. Explain to your kids what's coming and have a game plan for that. And there's some other little tidbits you gotta keep in mind. We've gotta make sure that they're off screens in the evening. This is more true for the older kids, that they might have a device, have an iPad, have a phone. You can't let them be on the screen late at night because even if they're in bed, that quality of sleep isn't going to be the same thing. So get them off of screens, make sure that room environment is dark, it's not hot, it's set up for high quality sleep too. So let's slowly start shifting that sleep routine because you have 2 or 3 weeks now. You can get some momentum built and get on a better track before having to go from you're up till 10 and now all of a sudden we got to get to bed at 8. And listen, we're in this too, right? This week specifically, my kids are so excited. It's the VBS week at our church. They love it. The church does such an amazing job of putting so much energy into the kids this week, but they're up late, right? They're there until 8 o'clock, let alone sleeping or in bed at 8. So we got to figure this out too. And next week, you know that's what's going to be happening. We're going to get a little bit more on track each week so that we don't have to completely wreck the routines come end of August, early September here. So that's 1, sleep. 2 and 3 really go hand in hand. 2 would be an organized home environment. And this is, I think of this one more from the parent's perspective, right? If we have physical space that's cluttered, that has stuff everywhere, that you don't know where the backpacks are supposed to be, you don't know where the school supplies are, it's going to be harder for you to be regulated and able to be that regulating force for them. Well, then number 3 is that for them, a distraction-free study space. This looks different depending on the age of your kids. If you got a preschooler or first grader, maybe it's just that kind of arts and crafts play zone. But if you got older kiddos that need to put time into studying, we need to have that with the TV not on in the background. We need to have that where they're not pulled in a million different directions. It needs to be a environment that is set up for success. That's probably not their bedroom, right? Unless you can control some of those variables and make sure they're not just scrolling social media or wasting some time in some other way, we need to put them in a position to succeed with that physical space. So that's 2 and 3, home environment organized and put together, and their physical space, their study space. You wanna make sure that that is not blindsiding you in a couple weeks here. They got homework and you don't know where they're supposed to do it or how that's supposed to happen. Number 4 here, movement. Prioritize movement, exercise, physical activity, whatever you want to call it. That matters so much for kids, and especially early on in the day. I want that to be your takeaway, is get kids moving early. There's a couple reasons for that. One, it's going to help with tip 1 with sleep. If it's this beautiful sunny day and you've got your kids outside in the sun moving early on, that is going to make it easier to go to bed. One, because they're going to be drained and they're going to be worn out and they're going to be more physically exhausted. But there's some more chemical and neurological things at play too. Getting sunlight in your eyes early in the morning. Right now, as I'm doing this video, I'm like half squinting at you all because there is so much sunlight and it's blinding. But that's good for your brain, good for your nervous system, because it cues certain hormones and daytime triggers. And the earlier we get those going, the better your sleep cycles and the melatonin and all of those sleepy related hormones are able to kick in come the end of the day. So get moving early. But that is also going to help feed some of those sensory ADHD struggles for kids. That's why it's so important for them to move in school and to have recess and to have PE. There's a great book called Spark by Dr. John Ratey, I'm not exactly sure how to say it. But that book is a great example and goes through a lot of research of how it can make such a difference for kids to have that physical outlet and physical exercise for them, especially when their brain is just wired for busyness, wired for energy, what we call a raging bull. So get moving, especially get moving early. Step 5 here, the 5th tip, is think about the nervous system. Think specifically about neurologically focused chiropractic care. That is actually the center hub that's going to make all of these other things easier. Your kid's nervous system, if it's dysregulated, disorganized, and stuck in fight or flight, it's going to be hard for them to wind down. It's going to be hard for them to sleep. It's going to be hard for them to be able to get moving, get active. They're going to want that different dopamine satisfying screen time instead of that physical movement. So we see such a huge connection between kids struggling with ADHD and emotional control and anxiety and sensory issues and chiropractic care. When we find that their nervous system, their internal hardwiring is stuck in stress, it's stuck in fight or flight, that is going to make everything else more difficult for them. School and focus and regulation aren't going to be able to happen because that underlying tone, that underlying baseline state is survival. So that's what we see with our scans. Our neurological insight scans let us measure that stress, see how it's doing in their nervous system, see where they're at, and then put together a plan to get them out of that. Put together adjustment protocols and a process to heal from that, get them out of fight or flight, so we can adapt and handle these stressors in a much, much better way. So that is the one that overarches everything here. Because even if you're doing everything else perfectly, you still might have a kid struggling with this, right? Even if you've got the diet and nutrition dialed in, and you've got their sleep schedules, and the environment is exactly what it should be, and you're like the poster child for a Montessori setup, they still might struggle if their nervous system is stuck in stress. So let us partner with you. Let us do those scans and find out if that's the case. Find out if we need to help their nervous system heal through chiropractic and neurologically focused adjustments so that all the other hard work you're doing as a parent is more effective. So listen, a couple other ways you can learn more. There's actually a webinar that our network of pediatric chiropractors, PX Docs, Dr. Tony is putting on a webinar next Monday the 12th. We have the info and everything linked here. Check it out if you want to learn more and dig into that more. There's a back to school transition guide that is going to be linked in our bio too. You can check that out. But honestly, if you're ready to just get that process starting, find the scans, find out what's going on with your child's scans, just reach out, call our team, send us a message. We'd love to chat. What does that process look like? What do the scans measure? What does the care plan look like? We're here for you. We want to partner with you and make sure that your kid is set up for success so that you can enter into that next school year with a plan for them to thrive instead of struggle with this. So we're here for you. Reach out. Can't wait to meet you soon.